Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's subject is all about the infamous Kawasaki's H2 SX SE after some 5 years plus of ownership and some 30,000 miles. All, may I say, were UK based. In this video you'll get to see my bike and I'll talk you through why I bought the bike, from where, how much I paid, what I thought about the deal and what happened in the first year of ownership. And if you're new to this channel, then welcome. Sit back and relax and watch this video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, as I would appreciate that ever so much. First question I would get out the way is, why buy a H2 SX at all? It comes down to personal taste. Let me explain. I began biking in the very early 1980s and was immediately drawn to the Japanese models over that of other manufacturers due to their reliability and availability. My first big bike, after passing what was the test back then, which you would take on motorcycles up to 250cc, was a red Kawasaki GPZ 550, which I loved, and indeed was my first 100-mile-an-hour plus motorcycle. On track, of course, as this bike was designed to compete there, officer. It was at this time I began to favour the Kawasaki's over Honda and Suzuki's and Yamahas. Also around this early 1980s time, the Japanese began to introduce turbocharged bikes with forced induction systems to create even more power, which I really wanted, but they were way above my pay grade at the time, and I had to watch them all come and then watch them all go, with mixed results of their success. Fast forward the clock to 2018 and out pops the H2 SX. No way on earth was I missing out on boosted performance the second time around, especially from the likes of Kawasaki. I managed to get myself a test ride in early 2018 and was able to compare it directly to my current Kawasaki, which was the ZZR 1400 at that time. And I was up for the H2 SX until I saw the retail price for the touring version, which I wanted, at £19,400. Not happening. Let me explain. I pay cash for my bikes, and any saving I can achieve is a must. I didn't buy it this time, and I moved on instead to a KTM 1290 GT. Don't ask. Seriously, don't ask. But luckily, towards the end of my first year of KTM ownership, which also coincided with the H2 having been out for almost 2 years, it was now time for me to change. I began to scan the bike sales forums, and unfortunately where I lived at the time in Scotland, there were only new bikes available. Then one popped up in Preston, northwest England. After a chat on the phone, I loaded my KTM into the van, drove to Preston, and the deal was done at a total cost of £14,500 for a less than 2,000 mile showroom fresh H2 SX. A as new H2 SX was transported back and was now sitting in my new garage, as I had literally just moved house. Looks a little bit lonely in there, I thought. What next? Some riding, of course. Lots of riding. I live in Scotland. What else are you gonna do? It didn't take long for me to circumnavigate Scotland and begin to discover just exactly what it was that I have bought. It appears that most owners at the time on YouTube were busy hype boosting their H2s. In a bid for even more power to go even faster, whereas here in Scotland on our roads I simply wanted to make my bike more rideable. The question remains, what was the H2 SX like to ride? And how did it compare to the last brutal KTM 1290 GT? Did I make a big mistake in buying the H2 SX SE? I think it's quite obvious to say that I didn't. But what were the differences? How did it compare to the KTM 1290 GT whilst riding on the same roads for the same length of time? To find out how I compared those two bikes, you'll see that in the next video, and I'll explain the main differences, the pros and the cons to both of those bikes, having ridden on an identical 500-mile round trip. And as always, don't forget, think safe, ride safe, and I hope to see you agreeing with my reasons for buying the astonishing Kawasaki H2 SX SE. Bye for now.